Good morning mga kamat-aral. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Today we're going to discuss a new topic in Mathematics 7, first quarter, week 4. So let's proceed. Mag-aral tayo ng mabuti. So today's topic is all about scientific notations. After today's topic, we're able to write a very large and small numbers in scientific notations. And also, we are able to write scientific notations into standard form and apply scientific notations practically. So for us to understand more about notations or scientific notations, let's proceed. So in here, in scientific notations, there is a so-called coefficients and the base 10, and here the n1 is the exponent. So in this inequalities, A is greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10, as what you have seen on your screen. So in here, n is an element of integers. So yun po siya. Ito yung symbol po ng integers. So let's proceed. In scientific notations, it says here, it is a system of notations used to express very large or very small numbers conveniently. It is the compilations of all types of numbers. Okay, so next, to express a number into scientific notations, write it as product so that, as what we had in our previous slide, the first factor is greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10, and the second factor is an integral power of 10. Okay, so yun to say ito yung exponent na nababanggit po kanina. When we hear integers, we already know that the integers composed of negative integers, 0, and positive integers. So that's why magkakaroon po tayo dyan ng mga negative and positive sign, including the zeros itself. So, next. So now let's have the ways on how to express large numbers into scientific notations. So in here we have illustrative example number 1. It says here that the distance of the Earth from the Sun is about 93 million miles. And whereas to express it in scientific notations. So before we process these 93 million miles at i-rewrite natin siya o i-express natin siya into scientific notations. So let's have first the guide. So it says here that move the decimal point of the original number to the left until the first significant digit to the left of the decimal point, and copy the significant digits to its right. So ito po ang ating gagawin. So first is to write 93 million miles in decimal numbers as you have seen. Yan po, 93 million miles yan. And then we recopy 93 million as what we have here. Ayan po, as what we have here. So now, since sinabi nga daw, we're going to move the decimal point. So, sa mga large number, tulad po ng 93 million miles, ang decimal point yan ay madalas ay nasa dulo po ng last zero digit or last digit. So, sa kanan po niya. So, dito po tayo magsisimula ng movement ng decimal point. So, we have this movement of point. Ayan po, napapansin niyo po siya, nagkakaroon po siya ng movement. And then the second part na gagawin po natin ay ito. So, in here, we copy. Yan po. So, kung mapapansin niyo po yung movement po ng point, nag-fall po siya sa pagitan ng first significant digit at ng second significant digit po between 9 and 3. So, that is why in between po ni 9 and 3 yung decimal point po. At kung mapapansin nyo, nakapagbilang tayo ng decimal point movement ng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hanggang 7 po siya. So now, since dito po nag-drop o nag-fall yung decimal point count, yan dyan po, dito po ay ma-rewrite natin siya as 9.3. And then yung 0, pwedeng nandyan po siya at pwedeng kahit wala na rin po siya. Pwedeng tanggalin na po yan. Why? Because ito po ang sabi. Count the number of places you have moved the decimal point. 7 places po yan. Nakita niyo po. And multiply 10 raised to that exponent. So, kaya hindi na po natin sasama i-include po yung zeros po yan right after 3. So, ang ating kukuhain lang po dyan ay yung 9.3. So, ito po as what we had here. So, 9.3 times 10 raised to 7 power. Bakit 7? There is 7 movement of decimal point here. Ayan po, tulad po na gawa natin nung una. So, we have 9.3 times 7 times 10 rather raised to positive 7 power as scientific notations, which is equivalent to 93 millions po na decimal number. And take note to this. Every large number has positive exponents of the base 10. Okay po? Sa lahat po ng mga large number, ang exponent or sign ng ating exponent ay laging positive. Ayan po, tulad po nito. Yan. So, let's proceed. With our previous example, we're able to express large number into scientific notations. But in here, we're asked to express small number into scientific notations. So here, we are asked to write 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 7, 3, 4 in scientific notations, which is a very small number. So if we're going to name it, it is billions, billions numbers. Ayan po. Yan po ay maaaring 7.34 billions. Yan po siya. So now, we're asked to rewrite these decimal numbers, ayan po, into scientific notations. But before we process it, let's have this guide. We have to move the decimal point of the original number to the right until the first significant digit to the left of the decimal point and copy the significant digits to its right. So, kung kanina sa ating first example, tayo po ay nagmula sa kanan papuntang kaliwa. Ngayon naman po, magmumula po tayo sa kaliwa papuntang kanan. So, as what we have here. So, recopy po natin siya. Ito po yan. Ayan po. Ayan. And then, from the decimal point na nandito po, tayo po ay gumawa ng movement of decimal point from left to right. So, and then, yan po ang nangyari. And it falls between 7 and 3. Kaya po siya, ganyan. So, kung babasahin ko nga po pala ulit itong number na ito, this is 7.34 billions. Yan po siya. Okay, so, ayan po siya. So, now, let's proceed para po sa susunod na steps. So, ayon, I recopy the first part of our solution. So, since we have the movement of decimal point from left to right as what we had in early discussions po natin dito sa ating topic. So, ito po. Okay. So, we have, ayan, may mga numbers po ay nakita dyan. Before we process with this, so let's have this one. We have to count the number of places, move the decimal point, which is ito, nakalagay ito na 9 places, and multiply 10 raised to that exponent. So, here ito po, we move it, we move the decimal point, and ayan po, it falls between 7 and 3. And eto na, di na to na tayo maglalagay ng panibagong decimal point sa darating po dyan. And ito po. So sabi daw, count the number of decimal places. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So ayun po, 9 po siya. So, ito ang nangyari. 7.34 na po siya. And then, we omit zeros na nauna kay 7. Tatanggalin po natin yan. Dahil ang sabi, we have to rewrite the numbers to its right. Sinabi po dun sa kaninang guide po natin. 7.34 times 10 raised to negative 9. Why it is negative 9? Why? Because the number is very small. So, if the number that you're going to write in scientific name is very small, the exponent of its base 10 is negative. Negative in sign. So that is why even if you have count it 9 movement of decimal place, since mababa siya, magdi-negative po yan. So that is negative 9. And the 7.34 billions in scientific notations is equal to 7.34 times 10 raised to negative 9 power. So yun po. And take note with this. Small number has negative exponents of the base 10. So, tulad po na nabanggit ko po kanina. So, ito po yung isa sa mga pinakagamit na proseso po. And then, let's proceed. In our first and second example, we're able to express decimal form or decimal number into scientific notations. In here naman, we're asked to write scientific notations into decimal form. Kung tinatawag natin standard form. So ito po. So, for example number 3, we're asked to write 4.7 times 10 raised to 8 power in decimal form or standard form. Before we process the solutions, let's have the guide. We have to move the decimal point to the right, the same number of the places as the exponents adding zeros as necessary. So, for our solutions, we're going to recopy the 4.7 times 10 raised to 8 power as scientific notations po yan. And, ganito po ang gagawin natin. We're going to recopy 4.7. Ito po. Kukopy lang po natin yan, 4.7. And then, sabi, from the decimal point, okay, since the exponent of the base 10 is positive, we're going to move the decimal point from left to right. So, mula kaliwa pa kanan po tayo. Counting with 8 decimal places. Okay po, so we have 8. Ayan po. And, nabanggit, we're going to add zeros as necessary. So, ito po ang susundan niyan. So, I recopy the 4.7 times 8 raised to 8 power as what we had here. Ayan po. So, ayun. Napansin nyo naman po, mayroon pong 8 decimal places movements. And then, sabi, adding zeros po tayo. So, magdadagdag po tayo ng zeros sa mga vacant po ng decimal places. And be sure lamang po na ito po ay magtatapat po sila. Okay, so now, since we have here, ayan po, we're able to add zeros and convert 4.7 times 10 raised to 8 power in scientific notations. Ang gagawin na lamang po natin dyan ay isi-simplify na lang natin po ito. Okay? So, 470 million in decimal form is equivalent to 4.7 times 10 raised to 8 power. Yan po yung pinaka-exact. So, let's proceed. So now here, since in our previous examples, number 3, we're able to express scientific notations into decimal forms ng largest number. Ngayon naman, small number naman po tayo, or ito naman po, we're asked to write 2.51 times 10 raised to negative 5 in decimal form or standard form. Kaya ko nabanggit po iyan, a small number, because the sign of the exponent of base 10 is negative. So that is why small number po iyan. Ayan po. So, to process the solutions, yan, let's have the guide. It says here, move the decimal point to the left the same number of the places as the exponents adding zeros as necessary. So, kung kanina doon sa example number 3 natin, nagmula tayo sa kaliwa pa kanan, ngayon naman magsisimula tayo kanan pa kaliwa from the decimal point. So, let's have this one. So, we're going to recopy this one. Ayan po. So, 2.51 times 10 raised to negative 5 power in scientific notations. And here, we're going to recopy the 2.51 to its right. Ayan po, 2.51 siya. And then we're going to move 5 movements of decimal point or 5 decimal places to its right. So, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, yun po siya. Mayroon siyang 5 movements of decimal point to its left. Ayan po. And sabi nga dito, magkakaroon ulit tayo dito ng adding zeros. So, yan po. So, let's proceed for the next. So, as what we had, the same concepts we used in our previous slides. Ayan po, kinopy lang po natin, 2.51. And then, adding zeros po tayo dito sa pagitan. Ayan. And then, kung saan po nag-drop yung pinaka-last na decimal point movement, diyan po yung decimal point as what we had here. Ayan po siya. And then, automatically, magdadagdag ka po ng zero sa labas. Okay, na mauuna kay decimal point. Lagi po yan. 0 point. Lagi mayroong 0 po dyan. Automatic po yan. Pero hindi po siya kasama sa bilang na ginawa po natin. Okay, so since we are able to add 0 here and ang gagawin na lang po natin ay simplify na lang po natin siya. So we have here, ayan po. So ito na po yung katumbasan 2.51 times 10 raised to negative 5 power in scientific notations. And ito siya sa decimal numbers. So we have 0.000251 in decimal form. So same concepts lamang yung ating ginawa, but ito ay nagsimula sa kanan, pakaliwa po. And let's proceed. Ayan po. So now let's have practice exercises. We are asked here to write the following decimal numbers into scientific notations and vice versa. For number 1, 275,000. 275,000 is a quite large number. So, we're going to rewrite it in scientific notations or express in scientific notations. In scientific notations, 275,000 is equal to 2.75 times 10 raised to 5th power. That's what we had here. And then, for number 2, we have 0.000026. So this smaller number or small number rather is asked to express in scientific notations. And in scientific notations is equal to 2.6 times 10 raised to negative 5 power. As what we had here, yung nagbibilang po tayo. So, for number 9, ito naman po, unlike the first example, 6.9 times 10 raised to third power is a scientific notations. And we're asked to convert it or rewrite it or express it into decimal numbers or standard form. So, since, ayan, we're going to have the 6.9. Ayan po. And then, sabi nga, once the sign of the exponent of the base 10 is negative, it is a smaller number or that indicates small number. And since it is 3, ang mangyayari po niyan, we're going to move decimal place or decimal point in 3 movements. So we have 0.0069 for number 3. And for number 4, we have 2.3 times 10 raised to 7 power. So, unlike number 3, which is a small one number, this one naman ay a large number po ito. So, since we have 2.3 here, yan, kukopay na lang po natin yan. And then, we're going to move 7 decimal places from left to right. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, number 4, 2.3 times 7 times 10 raised to 7 power, rather, is equal to 23 millions. Ayan po siya. So, for number 5 is one of a tricky question or tricky number or decimal numbers that needs to rewrite or express in scientific notation. So, since 2.65 is in final dahil yung decimal point ay nasa pagitan ng per significant digit at ng sumunod na digit sa kanya, ay ganito po ang representations po niyan. At ang sagot po niyan ay ganito po. In scientific notations, it is equal to 2.65 times 10 raised to 0. Why? Special case, for any number raised to 0, ang sagot po lagi niyan ay 1. Except, the number is 0. So, yun po siya. So, yun po yung magiging sagot lagi. Any number raised to 0 is equal to 1. Maliban na lang si n o si number ay 0. Hindi po dapat siya maging 0. Ayan po. So, ayan po tayo. O si capital N po iyan. Ayan, number. Ayan. So, please be mindful po sa special case na po ito. Ayan. Kaya that's why number 5 is one of the very trick one decimal numbers. Ayan po. So, yun lamang po at maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. So with that, thank you mga kamat-aral. Thanks for tuning in and listening in our discussions. Please do like and share and subscribe our YouTube channel. MathAral Tayong Mabuti. God bless everyone!